Hello students, I hope you are all fine and in good health. Dear students, yesterday I discussed the critical analysis related with the poem On Jennifer's Tigers, and today I decided to explain the stanza wise explanation. I want to do that related with this poem. See, On Jennifer's Tigers, I've given the heading. It is written by Adrien Cecin Rich, as I already told you, and the poem is based heavily on the concept of feminism, number one, and the atrocious way the patriarchal society used to treat them. That is, it is related with orthodox patriarchal system also at the same time. So, and Adrienne Rich, she was actually an American poet, essayist, and feminist. And another important thing is that one of the most widely read and influential poet of the second half of the 20th century. And here in this poem, apart from the details that I already gave you about her, now in this poem she talks about a woman's experiences in her married life. And to be very honest, the experiences are horrific or horrible, pathetic experiences. The experiences are not happy experiences at all. Now, see, she has tried to explore the inner feelings of a woman who is living under the dominance of men. Now, obviously, she tried not only to uphold feminism, as feminism is a very important theme or subject matter of this particular poem, but more importantly, or rather to say most importantly, she wanted or she tried to explore the inner feelings or inner thought process of a woman who is living under the razor, living under the razor or rather the dominance of men. So it is related with Aunt Jennifer's liberty, Aunt Jennifer's freedom, but in actuality, in reality, she was a docile coward. Her form of liberty, her form of liberation or freedom was attained by her when she had drawn the embroidery work related with the courageous tigers who are least bothered with the human intervention and roams in a royal manner in the forest region. So in her created world, the animals and human beings, they are uh, they are moving on, they are proceeding, or rather to say, they are living in a perfect harmony. But in reality, in real life, things are exactly different from what it is. She was dominated, exploited, subjugated by Uncle Jennifer, her husband, who was very cruel. And her form of raising out her voice is obviously her created embroidery work, where she projected her tigers to be exactly opposite to her own nature. Exactly opposite to her nature means she herself was coward, docile, meek, dominated. But her projected tigers in her embroidery work, they are courageous, fearless, and they are moving confidently in the forest. I mean, not at all bothered about human intervention. In her created world, the animals and the humans, they live in peaceful coexistence, each giving the other a sense of liberty. But in the real world, she used to seek liberty or freedom that was very hard for her to achieve or to get, because she was never been given a place of a wife in her family. She was treated like a slave by her husband, as you all know about it. So this is the preliminary information that I want to give you before I start with the proceedings. And I guess that this themes or this particular concept is clear to you as been told by me earlier yesterday. So now let me come to the very first stanza. See, it is written, Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen, bright topaz denizens of a world of green. They do not fear the men beneath the tree. They pace. Pace means they move, they approach, they move ahead in sleek, chivalric certainty. The explanation goes like this. The poet is talking about a lady whom she addresses as Aunt Jennifer. And it seems that Aunt Jennifer was a very familiar one, quite well acquainted with the poet. And she is embroidering a piece of cloth and already been told that she is excellent in embroidery work, but she never got a due opportunity to project it with lot of pride and glory, because her husband was totally against all this and never ever uh, encouraged Aunt Jennifer to do embroidery work. As we know by this time, it could be a tablecloth or a wall hanging. Now that embroidery work, it could be a tablecloth, it could be a wall hanging, but not been specifically discussed in this poem or been stated in this poem. And the embroidery designing pattern, remember this dear students, the embroidery designing pattern shows tigers who are moving and jumping around all over the fabric. Now the tigers are very lively, very energetic, and as I told you, the created tigers are exactly opposite in terms of their creators, because Aunt Jennifer, she seek freedom and liberty, but it seems that her life was always in chains. She was always bound to follow her husband's orders. But the tigers that she created, it gave a voice to her pent up emotions and feelings. It gave a voice to her repressed feminism, that she wanted to be free, she wanted to be liberated. She raised her voice with the help of her created tigers. They are bright yellow in color, like the topaz stone. Now, this is actually a metaphor. There is a use of metaphor in this, that bright yellow color, and it has been stated or compared with the topaz stone. There lies the metaphor. Now I'm moving on to the second stanza. See, it is written. Uh, but before that, another important thing I want to say: the dense green forest is the background, is their home. That is the all these things are projected. All these things are already projected in the embroidery work. That is the dense green forest. Apart from the tiger, we can see a forest also, and this forest is their home. They are the proud and fearless citizens of the forest, and the tigers, they are the proud, not only they are proud, they are courageous. Exactly, totally different or exactly opposite to the real nature of their creator, that is Aunt Jennifer. And moreover, another important thing is that here is a contrast between Aunt Jennifer and her tigers, that I already told you, dear students, by now. The tigers are fearless, but this lady who is embroidering them is not so. Yes, their nature, their character is totally different. I told you that the created tigers and the creator, that is Aunt Jennifer herself, they are totally different, like North Pole, South Pole, we can say, because the tigers that are created by Aunt Jennifer, they are totally courageous, they are fearless. But the lady, that is Aunt Jennifer herself, who had embroidered the tigers, she is not. Her nature, her character is totally different from those of the tigers that she had embroidered. The tigers are courageous, she is meek, docile, and coward. But she herself was made like that because of the society in which she was living. So that is the reason, apart from a high dose of feminism that we find here in this poem. Uh, Another prominent theme is the dominant nature or the atrocities faced by the woman here in this particular poem because of the dominant stereotypical orthodox patriarchal society or the male dominated society. That was the main reason behind it. So let me continue. And another important thing is that the tigers, they look very elegant. They look very majestic. Elegant, or you can associate the word elegant with majestic, shining and full of the gentleman's grace. They are shining and they are full of the gentleman's grace. They are courageous and they are roaming around at their free will, unhindered by any outside forces. Now I am moving on to the second stanza. See, it is written, "On Jennifer's fingers, fluttering through a wool, find even the ivory needle hard to pull. The massive weight of uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. Band, hand, wool, pull. There are rhyme similarities. I guess you noticed by this time. Very, very important stanza. This stanza also shows the oppressive mentality of Aunt Jennifer's husband and the violence of the patriarchal society where she was being dominated, ruthlessly subjugated each and every time. So the explanation goes like this. The lady's fingers are trembling, that is, Aunt Jennifer's fingers are trembling with the fear of her husband. She is pursuing her hobby. What was her hobby? Obviously, doing embroidery work. That was her hobby. So, she is pursuing her hobby in her free time. But probably she is still afraid of her husband who could scold her because her husband never ever appreciated her talent in terms of embroidery work. Her husband never ever appreciated that. So, at the back of her mind, she used to be very much scared of her husband. While she used to do a bit of embroidery work during her leisure hours, but at the back of her mind, she used to be scared of her husband. So, let me move on, dear students. See, it is written, she is pursuing her hobby in her free time, but probably she is afraid of her husband who could scold her. Who knows? Her husband might physically molest her also. Her fingers are so tired of working endlessly all her life. Despite doing multiple household works, she could squeeze out a time to practice embroidery, but while she practiced that one also, she used to be very much scared of her husband's prying eyes, or eyes as if her husband was noticing everything from behind. And that was the reason while she used to spend her leisure time also doing embroidery work, she used to be very much scared of it, scared of her husband's presence. Might be she felt like her husband was noticing it from behind. Who knows? The words uncle's wedding band was brought by her husband. It is his till today. The lady is dependent on her husband. Now the important thing is that the wedding band, it symbolizes that she was being dominated by her husband. It is a symbol of that. And she is entirely dependent on her husband. She is still burdened by the weight of the ring. Even it has been told that even after her death, while she will be lying dead in her coffin, at that time also that ring will be in her hand. So it seems that even after death, she won't get the necessary life or solace or peace or satisfaction. And it seems that the wedding ring is a symbol of burden that she is bearing or enduring throughout her life. And that is related with that dominant patriarchal system in which she is ultimately a tragic victim. Weight means the encirclement or the trapping that has fallen upon her by getting married to him. She has been burdened by the obligations of married life. Obligations, or dear students, we can say the numerous responsibilities, the restrictions of married life. Now, since the wedding band is an indication of that, that now she is under her husband, and it seems that whatever her husband will say her to do, she had to obey it, she had to follow it. Life has become the she has become actually the man's property. This one been told exactly by me yesterday also while I did the critical analysis, that now she had become the property of her husband, and the wedding band symbolizes that. She has been living a demanding life, due to which she has worn out in her old age. Now, her life was challenging. Demanding, dear student, to some extent it means challenging. Her life was indeed challenging. And because of numerous challenges that she faced throughout her life, she had become exhausted. And despite she was not old, she looked a lot older in terms or in respect to her age. Why so? Because her life had become more demanding than it was previously. After her marriage, her life had become more demanding. Now, dear students, I am moving on to the penultimate stanza, that is the third stanza. See, it is written, when aunt is dead. And I gave you some information regarding the third stanza while I was explaining the second stanza also. I've given a glimpse of that. I told that even after her death, she won't be relieved from her obligations, or she won't be relieved of her duties, because the wedding band or the wedding ring will be still in her hand while she will lie dead in the coffin. So see this, her aunt, while when aunt is dead, her terrified hands will lie, still ringed with ordeals. She was mastered by ordeals or numerous duties and responsibilities that she encountered during her marital life. It will stay along even after her death. The tigers in the panel that she made will go on prancing, proud and unafraid. Now she will die. Obviously, she will die like a coward, meek and docile, always subjugated and tortured and exploited by her husband. But her created tigers will find a voice, and obviously, she will find a voice because of her created tigers, because unlike their creator, the tigers will go on jumping, prancing, proud, and they will be super courageous and they will be unafraid. So now let us come to the final explanation. Her wish to live a free, fearless life is indicated by her choice of design, that is tigers. Now, tigers are actually symbols of her pent up feelings and emotions. She wanted to free herself, she wanted to liberate herself. Now, that is the reason that tigers are so important, they are so symbolical. They are actually the inner desires that was never accomplished by Aunt Jennifer. But she raised her voice with the help of her artistic credibility and excellence by doing the embroidery work related with the tigers. It shows her innermost desire, urge, as I was talking about it, of being strong, fearless, which has been overpowered by her husband. In reality, she was always been dominated by her husband, but the tigers, the way they were moving around in a courageous manner, prancing proud and unafraid, actually it showed her innermost desire that never got a right kind of expression because of her dominating cruel husband, that found a bit of expression while she did the embroidery work of the tigers. Okay, so this is very important, and I'm repeating once again. It shows her innermost desire of being strong, fearless, which has been overpowered by her husband. So the tigers are actually the symbols of that, symbols of her liberation, symbols of her freedom. Probably her ordeal will end upon her death. Probably because human beings are mortal, she will also die one day. Her frightened, shaking fingers will be put to rest. Her frightened fingers will be put to rest. But still, even after death, the ring shall remain on her hand. I was talking about this particular thing. This is the conclusion, final conclusion also, when I was discussing the second stanza, as I told earlier to you all. So let me come to this. But still, even after her death, the ring shall remain on her hand. That is, her husband's rule over her is not yet over. Maybe it will cross the mortal life and it will reach the realms of afterlife. Who knows? Because the wedding ring is still in her hand while she is lying dead in the coffin. After her death, her desire of freedom and fearlessness shall remain alive in these tigers which she has embroidered. The artist departs, but the art or the created things of an artist attains immortality. And here, obviously, the created things are the embroidery work of Aunt Jennifer, particularly the tigers. They will stay fearless, they will be prancing, and they will be unafraid of the human intervention, and obviously, they will remain alive. And with the created things remaining alive, Aunt Jennifer's actual urge will also remain alive. Though in reality, her desire of freedom and to be fearless never ever was accomplished. Obviously, with the help of her embroidery work, where she had drawn the tigers, her desire was accomplished, and this desire of accomplishing with the help of her embroidery work where she had drawn the tigers, it will attain immortality, and obviously it will remain alive for ages to come, so that everyone can appreciate her embroidery work. But on another perspective, she won't be alive, so the artist will perish, but the created art will remain alive and will voice out her actual desire, her innermost desire, that always craved for freedom, for liberty, but she never achieved it. But having said that she never achieved it might be partially correct, because she achieved it to some extent with an embroidery work. That is where the tigers, they are shown to be courageous and full of zeal of life. Now, this is the explanation part, some important meanings. The first one is prance, walk or move around with high springing steps. Second one, topaz, it is a bright yellow colored stone. Then there is another word in the poem, denizens. Here it means an animal that lives or is found in a particular place, that is denizens. Sleek, actually it means elegant. Chivalric, very much related with being courteous to women, an act of a gentleman. We call it chivalric. That is the reason medieval knights been equated or been told yesterday, but her husband is not chivalrous at all, because her husband never gives her the honor that the medieval knights used to give to their lady love. Ordeals means extremely severe test or experiences. Ordeals are related with the pressure of leading a family life or a marital conjugal life. Here the ordeals is related with that. Two more meanings. Prancing means to move around proudly, and fluttering means to move in quick irregular motions as if being agitated. That is the meaning of fluttering. I repeat the meaning of fluttering: to move in quick or irregular motions as if being totally agitated, as if being totally excited. That is the meaning of the term fluttering. So dear students, the explanation part and the word meanings in detail I had discussed in this audio presentation. Kindly go through this audio presentation, and if there is any doubts, kindly clarify. Thank you students. Thank you all.